Hello and welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our honored guest is Deborah Peters, CEO and founder of the Neuro Engineering Institute. I'm so delighted to welcome her today. For those of you who can't see her, Deborah is oozing vitality. I mean, she is just glowing and she's just got these gorgeous blue eyes and her skin is so vibrant and glowing in her hair. I mean, she's just a sight to behold. So just painting that picture of you. So as you hear her voice, Deborah, welcome to the show. Please tell us about yourself.
Oh my gosh, I thank you. I've never been introduced like that before. That's incredible. It's a pleasure to be here and tell you about myself. Well, I guess I would say that I am a voracious learner. I am formidable in how I live my life and get after my dreams and goals. I'm a loyal and fierce friend. And I'm dedicated to fast tracking my life to achieve all the things I've dreamed of ever since I was a little girl.
Wow, that is incredible. So tell me about how you got to be the CEO and founder of the Neuro Engineering Institute. I have a feeling there's a story embedded on how you discovered specifically that, the neuroengineering.
You know, it's interesting because I do this journaling exercise where I'll sit down once a day and I'll write out something I'm happy and grateful for about three main areas of my life. And they are health, wealth, and relationships. And I found myself this past year writing about how appreciative I am of having come up with the name, first of all, Neuro Engineering Institute, because I came up with that 20 years ago. And I had a boyfriend at the time that made fun of that name and thought I was ridiculous in even thinking of that name. And I was just so dedicated to it. You know, there was something about it and it came like out of my heart. And so when I was doing this writing exercise this past year for the first time, and I was thinking, you know, that was a gift that I didn't really understand. And I think that happens with us in life as we come up with ideas or goals or dreams or experiences that we'd like to have through our imagination. We can have them come through, but then we don't really know the magnitude of whatever that is until we get further down the path. And so here I am, you know, 20 plus years later, and it's a romance for me. It is a portal for creativity. It's where I go to feel nurtured because it's bigger than me. And it's about being of service to humanity. And I've been starting to reference it as being not just global, but galactic. So
I love that.
it's like a legacy that I'm creating.
That's exciting. It's really
Yeah.
And so you're in California, where I am too. But are you a native Californian?
No, actually, I grew up in a farming community in Canada. So I'm a farm girl and grew up, you know, riding horses and barrel racing and calving cows and hauling bales and doing all the things 24/7 you do to make a farm function. And it was really a dedication to the land, because if you don't dedicate your life and your energy to the land, it doesn't take care of you. And so that's the baseline of, I think, what made me who I am today, is to always remember that we're always cultivating.
Yeah.
And we're right.
Yeah, like we also like excavating, you know, like you have to till the soil and you have to make sure that it doesn't get too compacted. It has to have proper circulation, and same thing in our cells and in our brain. I would imagine, you know, the work that you're doing. And I don't really know about the work you're doing. So tell me a little bit more about the actual work.
I'm a business coach and mindset expert. I work with CEOs of small to mid-sized companies across the globe, helping them make the shifts they want to make in the growth of their business model and their revenue.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is around the mindset piece and how they view themselves, and then how that viewpoint or viewpoints get projected into the business model they create, the strategic plan they're willing to commit to, and the people they attract to work with them and be their client base. And it's kind of esoteric sometimes,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, and
Love
other
it.
times it's full on running numbers and KPIs on paper, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit of a combination.
Interesting. It's wonderful you have that aptitude because I believe that the businesses we create, there's been this separation between our personal work and then our business world. And I think that separation is closing at this time. And I think that, of course, we still have to be professional and responsible, but we all have our core wounding issues. And those issues are going to seep into our work and our leadership in our workplace too, which I think is fascinating. And it helps me at least to understand what I'm attracting and how I'm functioning. And especially, we all need somebody like you to really help us see ourselves and how we're compromising ourselves, because we do that because that's part of our learning. Like you were saying, we attract certain people in that help us to heal our core wounding, and then of course all of our responses and everything is that ripple effect, because organizations can only grow to the extent at which their leader is growing.
It's true, and they're often, the family dynamic is there whether they're blood relatives or not. It's, there's a marriage that's made, there's a family unit that's structured, there's a hierarchy that plays out,
Yeah.
and being able to identify if the people that you're surrounding yourself with are connecting to you because of the growth and the possibilities, or are they connecting due to some sort of trauma bonding
Right.
where you don't realize that that's really what it's all about. And so experiencing and elevating that level of self-awareness so they can identify, like, okay, this relationship with this person on my team that is dysfunctional is a trauma bond, and I can identify the trauma. Or I'm not letting these people in because I know they'll take me to the next level and I'm afraid to go there. Whatever it is, it's as many issues as there are people, basically.
And it's very interesting, like it never really ends. I believe we have a soul contract for the people that, we either hire or we get involved in, or who present themselves in our business worlds. And it's, it's pretty exciting, especially if you can find people who are willing to engage in that level of conversation, or hire people who are willing to engage in that level of conversation. I see it breaking down. And I mean the old structure versus
Yeah.
new kind of what I would consider conscious business, or people who are just willing to, really step in to their work and take full responsibility. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and to show up, we've been through hell and back with this pandemic, and the beauty and the blessings of what has gone on is a heightened self-awareness, um, an elevation and an evolution of human consciousness in terms of, well, who am I really being here? Is it authentic, or am I living a resume life, or am I living an authentic life? And then choosing, because it is a choice. And even getting to this place where one can choose is a huge leap
Yeah,
forward.
agreed. COVID definitely catapulted that forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have your own podcast and YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about why you started those, and yeah, and what's going on there, because I'm curious.
Well, initially I launched my YouTube channel because I just had so much to share. And I used to teach these marathon breakthrough seminars that were, level 1 was like 7 days, and level 2 was 12, and level 3 was 21. And I would just teach the whole thing myself. And I just never had too much to impart. Like it just rolls out of me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start this YouTube channel and just start uploading tools that people can jump into and maximize their lives with. And then I decided like late 2020, I guess it was late 2020, that it was really time to launch a second podcast. I'd had one a few years ago and, it kind of ran its course. So this one is live once a week, and there's lots of really great guests that I have on, and we really dig into the tools to lead your life on just right out there on the edge of thought, like thinking about or asking to be shown the possibilities you haven't allowed yourself to experience yet. And that's, I think, really the key, is just really getting out there beyond any comfort zone that you could ever imagine, and just brazing new ground, creating a new awareness.
That sounds thrilling. I love things like that. I go into deep experiences with others in person, doing that for myself. That's really exciting work. Wow. That sounds like fun. It's like on the edge of thought, which is really no mind. That's at least how I relate to it.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
tapping into the heart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some of these entrepreneurs I was with last week were talking about that might be in your zone of excellence, but what's in your zone of genius? And that's, when like there's this whole field of just, oh my gosh, right, yes, of course, but it was so great not to know it all. And inside of that not knowing was where everything started to fall into place, and creativity was just birthing universes. It was just magnificent. So excited.
That's the magic. That's the magic in the moment. That's human consciousness unbridled.
Ah, God, it's really, really incredible. And I realized that as we were speaking about before the podcast started, it's really, I think we are meant to facilitate it with each other. There's something that happens, these cofactors in nature, like, you were, grew up in that understanding. So it's like there's no separation, there's no difference between the physical and non-physical, at least in my reality.
Yes. And that's a wonderful breakthrough, I think, for most people, when they get to that awareness and they're like, wait a minute, who I'm being here in this physical is just an extension of who I'm being in the non-physical. There is no separation. Therefore, I can tap into that source, that resource, that support, that unconditional love, just with any thought, in a nanosecond.
Yeah. So what does that edge look like for you, if you don't mind sharing with us? Or maybe it's changing moment to moment. I don't know.
It does. It shifts and changes. I have these, I'm a big proponent of meditation every day, to just sit down for 15 minutes and just let yourself have a clear space before you enter the world. And the downloads that come are really incredible. I've always been really intuitive, but I feel that that's spiking. I got a picture from someone recently, kind of random. We've sort of been in timeout, and I got a picture, and I understand the reason the picture came through from a logical, linear perspective. But as I look at the picture, I get this whole storyline of where they're at, what they're experiencing, what their angst is, if you want to call it that, and what really happened from their perspective within the dynamic of our relationship. And I mean, you just can't put a price tag on that. Like, that is just so out there in a whole other field, in a whole other realm. And the clarity is fantastic. It helps me navigate the future of that relationship, instead of being on guard or resentful or whatever human emotion I might have. So those are the kinds of things that are happening with me. And it's just really cool. It's just really cool.
Really cool. I appreciate you sharing that. It's just so interesting, where we all are, and it's very different, yet it's so similar. So I just find that really refreshing all the time, just to know.
Yeah, that you're not out there alone.
But that what's happening right now on the planet is not unique to me, and that that we're all actually in this human condition. We're just navigating it perhaps slightly differently,
Yeah.
and that's that. So I'm curious. We are talking on this podcast all about vitality, and boy, if those of you who can't see her, she is glowing, and so I'd love to know some practices that you have in your life outside of meditation that really cultivate your vitality.
Wow. Well, thank you. So I used to own a gym, and I was in my 20s. I had this gym for 8 years, 9 years.
Mm,
It became a lifestyle for me, and I've never let that go.
mm,
There's been times in my life when I've been through some real physical shifts where my health wasn't so great, and it was due to childhood trauma and some things I experienced that were literally coming out and releasing from my cells.
yeah.
But I didn't stop physically taking care of myself. So that's a big, I mean, every week I do 3 to 4 CrossFit workouts. I have a daily stretch routine that I do about 30 minutes or so every day. I drink a lot of water, not a ton, like I don't over consume, but I make sure I keep myself hydrated. And I guess, my big thing is, besides eating organic food and intermittent fasting, is I do a monthly vitamin drip, the IV
Oh yeah,
drips.
like
Yeah.
a Myers or like a.
Yeah, I do sort of like I create this little hybrid. My favorites are adding into a Myers cocktail like some glutathione, some taurine,
Mm,
some biotin, just loading up a little extra vitamin C. And I just, on a regular monthly consistent basis, I do those. I see such a massive difference.
I love that. That's next level. For those of you who don't know what she's talking about, you can go now more easily than ever and find a reliable source to get an intravenous vitamin infusion. And there is nothing quite like it because it's
Yeah.
not bypassing any of your digestive tract, and you can absorb it right into your bloodstream. And I do them on a regular basis too, and they are extraordinary. But you do need to find out the source, not you, so to much, so to say, Deborah, but people, when you're out and about, you can't just trust somebody just because they have IVs. You do need to find out, where the IVs are coming from, where those, vitamins are coming from. That's exciting. I love that. I too, I'm a huge proponent of exercise, but it's become less of a like to do and more of an emotionally engaged embodiment
Yeah.
practice. And
Yes.
I've realized after all these years and over $1 million in personal development work, the more I go to the mind through the mind, the more I feel kind of, crazy. But the more I can go to the mind through the body, because
Yes.
my body is so honest and emotion just moves. So it's a really fantastic tool for me because I have a lot of energy,
Yeah.
and to be able to channel it and move it and use, whatever it is I'm doing that day, whether I'm running or hiking or swimming or biking or dancing or, doing my resistance training, like whatever it is, applying it. So that's really been a huge part for me. But so that means you've been exercising regularly for decades, probably now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really encourage people, I don't care how old you are, that thing about I'm too old, I can't do that anymore, is just, no, that's not true. You just stopped doing what you used to do. Therefore, getting back into it is hard. It's like anything you give up,
Mhm,
if you don't use it, you lose it.
mhm.
So, but starting out wherever you are, you don't have to go do what I'm doing, just start where you are and add to that.
Yeah.
And at the very least, get outside and do your 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's free, it's beautiful. I don't, regardless of the weather. I just spent 2 weeks in Montana snowmobiling and
Fun.
skiing, and I still did my 10,000 steps a day, even when it was cold. So
Love that.
yeah, just go do it. And then when you're out there, find things to appreciate, because that fuels your cells. We're consuming all the time, and we're consuming not just stuff we buy online or from the store or food or beverages. We're also consuming thoughts and emotions and belief systems and paradigms. So if you can get outdoors, do your 10,000 steps a day, get into a state of appreciation, it unlocks the vitality of the cells, and you can literally roll back the clock on your age.
And folks, she's living proof of that. And I agree with her completely. A lot of people are journaling about gratitude, but what you just described was a felt sense of gratitude, which is
Mhm.
completely different frequency than that superficial. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that getting out and feeling it and finding ways to feel inspired around it and to embody it is, I think, a key, to unlocking that.
Yeah,
Vitality.
and let it fuel you. I suppose I probably learned that growing up on the farm. We would, let's say in the spring, we're turning sod and prepping the ground for seed. The smell of the fresh rolled over sod was just heaven on earth.
Mm,
And that would fill up my senses. It's kind of like fresh cut grass, you
yeah,
get that whiff of fresh cut grass and it fills your senses. And it literally, that's where aromatherapy became so popular. It comes from nature and it can revitalize you at a cellular level. And it's not as hard as you think. It's just get
right.
outside.
Yeah, and I think the operative word is, let it fill you. And when we're in this consumer mode of go, 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 that receiving mode, sometimes we need to be more conscientious about, letting it in. I know for myself I do, because man, I'm so productive, but it's it's not always receiving mode when I'm in that go mode. So
Yeah.
just for our listeners, do you have any last words of wisdom that you'd like to leave them with?
Sure. The big thing is just really learn to carve out your own path in life and take the road less traveled every opportunity you get instead of following anyone or anything. Um, Learn to listen to yourself. Like, I'm not talking about the negative mind chatter that's triggered by some news flash, or some relative that you don't like. I'm talking about the inner voice. You have a built-in GPS system that will guide you through the path of least resistance, the easiest way to get everything you desire. You just have to slow down just a minute, and listen to that. And then be willing to take the road less traveled. You don't have to always have all these people approving, as long as you approve, that's really all that matters.
Such valuable information you just shared. Thank you.
Yeah.
So many of us are changing careers right now, and we have a lot of doubt because of society and just all of the systems that are breaking down and being rebuilt. And that inner GPS is definitely unique, your unique imprint. And so trust it.
Mm.
Yeah, love that. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your beauty and your grace. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and so, what is the YouTube channel name so that we can learn more about all the things you're?
Yeah, sure. So it's Neuro Engineering Institute, same as my company. And the podcast on iTunes is the Deborah Peters Show. So
Awesome.
yeah.
We'll put those in the show notes as well, but please enjoy all that she has to offer on her YouTube channel and her podcast. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.